Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Beyond Eden. So last time I think Oscar poured blood on us? I think? But that was in the past that he did that. So that was fun. And we also practiced shooting, and the little boy, I forget his name, but he's still just as much of a little sissy girl as he was before. So let's continue. On the following afternoon, Alex came across Theodore in the hallway. He noticed a bundle of letters in his hand. Hello. Any letters for me, perchance? Oh yeah, we were doing texting, right? I'm sorry. I'm afraid not, sir. If you are awaiting a particular letter, I can send a telegram to check. No, it's nothing urgent. I can wait. I will deliver it to you as soon as it arrives, Mr. Wake. Thank you, Burden. Alex gave a little sigh of disappointment. If only the document came into his hands as soon as possible. Does this have something to do with revenge? It was taking much longer than he expected, as he had invested too much care in preparing the papers. But I have waited more than 10 years. Wait. Oh yeah, but I've waited more than 10 years. A few more days should be nothing, Alex consoled himself. He decided to use the extra time to collect more information. Oops. I don't know what he's waiting for. But I don't know what papers... Okay, did we need two back-to-back? Is that how it always happens? Fine. It happened 3 days later in the late afternoon. Alex headed to the drawing room to have tea with the family. But the moment he arrived, his friends suddenly blurted out.
음악이 듣고 싶어.
갑자기 왜?
갑자기라니? 음악 없이 산지 일주일째야.
Was that supposed to be dramatic? His friends suddenly... It happened a few days later, his friends suddenly blurted out, I want music? What? You're acting like this is supposed to be something dramatic. What? What are you telling me?
숙녀분이 안 계시니 춤을 안 추는 건 그렇다 쳐도 음악 정도는 듣고 싶잖아.
Oh my god. I don't want to hear about women. This is not the time nor the place. This is a yaoi game. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
죄송합니다. 이 친구가 좀 하는 짓이 엉뚱하다 보니 말입니다.
하지만 여기에 피아노가 있잖아. 형제분 중 칠 줄 아는 사람이 있는 거죠?
맞아. 오스카 군이 칠 줄 안다네.
어쩐지 그럴 것 같았어요.
왜 동생들을 제치고 그렇게 생각하셨는진 모르겠지만 맞습니다. 피아노를 칠 줄 아는 건 저뿐입니다.
그럼 제게 차기 남장님의 연주를 들을 수 있는 영광을 하사해 주시겠습니까?
Oscar looked perplexed. There seemed to be a reason he could not accept the request at ease, although he was also aware that it would be difficult and also impolite to decline. True, not if it was me. I'd be like, go play yourself your own damn piano. He pondered for a long time, glanced briefly at Alex, then opened his mouth.
원하신다면. 하지만 어렸을 때 잠깐 배운 것뿐이라 서툰 데다 몇 곡밖에 칠 줄 모릅니다.
Oscar opened the keyboard cover and sat down on the piano stool. He placed his long, straight fingers... Oh no, not long fingers. Oh no, I'm getting flashbacks to room number 9. Oh god. On the keys and took a deep breath and began to play. Ugh, that game has scarred me on any sort of complimenting of someone's long fingers. Oscar was not being humble when he said he was unskilled. In terms of technique, it was obvious that he was largely self-trained. Yet there was a genuine emotion in his music which was strangely touching, and it was enough to satisfy family and friends.
감사합니다.
Oh my god, who's phoning in that
귀가 괴롭진
applause?
모르겠습니다.
Why is the room so echoey? Okay, whatever.
아주 좋았어요. 한 곡 더 들려주세요.
그러려면 다른 손님의 허가도 받아야 할 것 같은데요.
난 괜찮아. 더 들려줘봐, 오스카.
The listeners surrounded the piano and concentrated on the melody. At last, the music ended, and so did the fingers dancing on the keys.
한
Oh
곡만
my god,
더요.
still so
정말
echoey.
마지막으로
Oh my
한 곡만 더
god.
들려주세요.
What cave did you record this audio in? What cave did you record these people clapping in? Like, I don't get it. Why?
참, 제가 남에게 선보일 수 있는 건 이 두 곡이 전부인데요.
한 곡이 더 있지 않던가? 가끔 연습하는 게 들리던데 말이야.
선생님,
Oscar looked at him reproachfully, but Morris continued unfazed.
내 착각이라고 할 셈인가?
그 곡은 확실히 어릴 때부터 연습하긴 했지만 제가 칠 수는 없는 곡입니다.
연습은 하지만 칠 수 없다? 연탄곡인가 보군요.
예, 저의 두 개뿐인 손으로는 완성될 리 없는 곡이죠.
What does that mean?
알렉스와 같이 치면 되잖아요.
Does it require two people on the piano? Then obviously you couldn't perform it alone. Why would that even be a question?
실례지만 여기에서 왜 알렉스가 나오는 거죠?
어렸을 적 연습했다고 하셨죠? 아이가 연탄을 하려는 건 보통 또래 친구와 같이 치기 위해서죠. 하지만 형제 중 다른 누구도 배우지 않았다면 남은 건 알렉스뿐이잖아요.
Investigative reasoning.
물론 남작 부인이나 가정교사와 함께 연습하셨을 가능성도 있긴 하지만 알렉스가 피아노를 칠 줄 안다는 걸 전 알고 있거든요.
그렇지만 그 곡은 가끔 기분풀이 삼아 하는 겁니다. 지금 와서 호흡이 맞을 거라곤 도저히... 알렉스?
But if we did play in harmony together, maybe I wouldn't have to kill you, and we could do the ugly, you know? And I'm just saying.
조금만 더 왼쪽으로 가봐.
This piano recital right here might be deciding your future, you know? Just letting you know. He moved over in surprise, and Alex sat beside him. I shouldn't be getting Oscar's hopes up. There's zero chance I'm choosing him. He's gonna die. Being two grown-up men sitting on a piano stool, they couldn't help brushing their shoulders and thighs against each other.
좁아.
Maybe you should eat less. Damn.
그 정도는 참아.
Alex retorted, folding up the cuffs of his sleeves.
저 친구는 한번 흥미를 느끼면 집요하게 물고 늘어지거든. 얼른 해치워 버리자고.
연습은 했나?
아마 네가 하는 만큼은 할 거야.
Alex moved his fingers over the keys several times, checking their weight.
할 수 있겠어? 힘들 것 같으면 포기해도 돼.
시작해봐. 난 따라가도록 하지.
A beautiful melody different from Oscar's solos echoed throughout the twilight of the house.
와, 근사한데요. 그렇죠, 조슈아 씨.
네. 오랜만에 들어도 역시 좋은 곡이군요.
그리운 느낌이야.
저도요. 처음 듣는 거지만 왠지 들어본 적이 있는 것 같은 멜로디네요.
I didn't even know you were here, little boy.
어라, 아버지? 언제 오셨어요?
Well, I didn't know he was here either. There was a baron indeed, listening silently yet attentively. Alex nearly slipped his fingers watching him out of the corner of his eye. He decided to focus on the keys instead. As a boy, Alex enjoyed playing duets over solos. A wonderful thing it was, two pairs of hands dancing rhythmically over the keys, two souls merging to create melody and harmony. A world of finite, ephemeral beauty made whole only with the soul of another being. For a brief moment, Alex forgot his purpose and plans and lost himself in the music. But it was over in a flash, and he soon found himself hitting the last note. A silence followed, broken broken by a burst of applause.
멋진 연주였어요. 약속대로 오늘 더는 욕심 부리지 않도록 하겠습니다.
그래. 하지만 가까운 시일 내로 또 들려줬으면 하네. 그 곡은 사실 내가 제일 좋아하는 곡이었거든.
기분이 내키면요. 아버지까지 보러 오셨습니까?
그래, 간만에 음악 소리가 들리기에. 웨이크 군도 연습은 계속하는 모양이고 배운 것을 잊지 않는 건 좋은 일이야.
See, William doesn't seem so bad. Why do we have to murder him? He seems like he could be a nice daddy. I'm sure some of you are turned on by him.
네, 그렇죠.
정말 좋았어요. 저도 피아노를 칠 줄 알면 좋을 텐데. 기숙학교에서도 배울 수 있으려나?
Further compliments on the music followed until it was interrupted by a carefully timed knock.
말씀을 나누신 중 죄송합니다.
괜찮아. 무슨 일이지?
전보가 도착했습니다, 젊은 주인님.
고마워. 어디서 온 거지?
Oscar furrowed his brows when he recognized the sender.
전 이만 실례하도록 하겠습니다. 저녁 식사 때 뵙도록 하죠.
Guess you gotta go over to your study and write more letters. So busy. Meanwhile, Theodore respectfully held out the silver tray to Alex as well.
웨이크님께도 편지가 도착했습니다.
고마워.
about
빨리
time.
가져다 줘서.
별 말씀을요. 그럼
Yep, well. On the envelope was the name he had long been waiting for.
동업자에게 온 편지군요. 저도 이만 실례하겠습니다.
Ooh, or your crime partner.
그래, 8시에 다시 보세.
But yeah, maybe if I want to come to dinner. Damn. A smile spread across Alex's face as he confirmed the contents of the envelope. It was his much-awaited trump card. With this, he had nothing to fear. According to the document, the payment for Lady Josephine Edenick's immense debt was overdue. Wait, the payment for Lady Joseph? Who is that? Is that the woman of the manor? But where is the woman of the manor? Is she dead? I don't remember what they said about her. And since she was incapable of paying for it, the ownership of the Edenick estate is to be transferred to none other than Alex himself. Wait, what? Payments? Lady Josephine's Edenick's immense debt? I'm so confused. I don't understand. She's the wife of William, right? Where is she? I don't remember. Okay. Well, apparently he has for some reason he should be able to rightfully own this manor, I think. Because of some debt that was never paid for a long time. The document had taken quite a long time since Alex's solicitors had constructed it with utmost care, so it's fake? But the waiting proved worthwhile as the document's legal status was irreproachable under the present statute. So it's fake, but it's gonna hold up in court. How? Whatever. This perfectly legal yet utterly destructive weapon was born of Baron Edenick's era. What do you mean perfectly legal? I mean, if it's fake, it's technically illegal, even if it appears legal. What? I'm so confused. I can't tell if this is legal or not. As a young man, the Baron restored the family's fortune by marrying Josephine, a rich heiress. So he was broke and he married into money? In return for investing the dowry on the estate, he added an article which provided that the estate is to be jointly owned by himself and his wife. It was a highly unusual decision for an aristocratic patriarch, for the deepest fear of such men is the division of property and estate, which will in turn lead to the decline of the family itself. The Baron must have been aware of the risks, yet still chose to share such authority with his wife. Additionally, after some research, Alex's solicitors proved the real estate ownership may be transferred without the consent of all joint owners, provided that one of the owners failed to pay off his or her debts. The joint ownership must be his father-in-law's idea. Admittedly, it is remarkably odd considering the Baron's status. How? Why would that be odd? The Baron was broke, and he married the money that was his wife. So, I mean, maybe it would be odd that they got married in the first place. Compared to her husband, Lady Adenik was a far simpler soul, but she had the money. Women of her class do not hold jobs, but it does not mean they cannot make income. For example, they could gain prize money and fame by breeding champion racehorses. However, it takes a fortune to find and train gifted horses. Many aristocrats were driven to the point of bankruptcy by breeding racehorses, lured by the sweet temptation of fame and fortune, and Josephine happened to be one of them. Ironically, she fell into debt because she needed the prize money to pay off other debts. For Josephine, Adenik could not help but covet what belonged to others. She coveted large jewels, the most fashionable dresses tailored in Paris, a beautiful Mayfair house with a garden, a 6-horse coach owned by another lady, a quartet of handsome footmen, and even the husbands of other women. Ooh, we love that. Get around. While many aristocrats inevitably fall into debt to maintain their respectability, Josephine's case was particularly extreme. At first, some loaned to her readily, but she had no means to pay them back and thus ended up paying off the debt by taking out another loan. In the end, her debt piled up mountain high, and she had nobody left to borrow money from. But there was one place which continued to lend her money, a financial company ran by Alex's proxy. Okay, I see. She took high interest. So when was this? This was long after Alex had left the house then. And well into his adult life. That they were loaning her money. She took high interest loans from the company, and in the meantime, Alex purchased her other debts. She knew I was buying her debts, but nevertheless came back a week later to take out another loan. Such a foolish woman. Like, she knew that you, Alex, were the one buying her debts? So she thought it was safe? Nevertheless, Alex was also grateful for her foolishness. Thanks to her folly, he was able to seize most of Ashgrove without the Baron noticing it. So then it wasn't even illegal, what he did. He made it sound like the documents they crafted were illegal, but they seem to be genuine in that Honey hasn't paid off all of her debts wherever she be, and now her husband has to be the one to pay for it by giving him the manor. Alex the manor. With this document, it should be a piece of cake to shatter the seemingly solid foundation of the house. Alright. Do we unveil it at dinner? So I got a letter in the mail. The dining room is filled with the sounds of laughter and low voices talking over the dinner table. It was a truly joyous week for Alex. After all, who wouldn't be happy on the eve of the day his meticulous plan will be launched? How are we going to explain this to Lafayette? Was that his name? Lawrence Lafayette? How are we going to explain all this to Lawrence? We're going to seem a little bit vindictive and a bit like a jerk in front of our friend. Do we just not care what he thinks? Whatever. In contrast, Oscar sat beside him looking far from cheerful. In fact, he seemed troubled, barely touching his food or engaging in conversation. Are you alright, Oscar? You don't look so well. He was only then startled back to his senses. Oh, no, it's nothing. Don't worry yourself. The cause must be none other than the telegram he received in the drawing room. It was plainly obvious why a single telegram could trouble him so much. I must be in luck, Alex thought as he smiled to himself. Elated by the arrival of the document, Alex drank more heavily than usual. Ooh, that's not good. You're gonna accidentally come on to one of these brothers. He took a stroll through the garden to hide his intoxication, and then returned to his room, hopefully Edward. Alex planned to sleep deeply tonight. He felt fatigued. Throughout the entire week, he had been tense and alert, and the excess alcohol had only worsened his condition. Also, he predicted that he'll be busier after tomorrow. Something was lying on the bed, indistinguishable in the dim candlelight. When he approached it, a sweet, strong scent assaulted his nose. What? What is it? Some lilies? Now, how are those going to be that strong? How the scent of those lilies going to be that strong it assaulted your nose? That's a little bit much, but fine. I'm guessing this has something to do with his dead sister, I think. No, alright. Everything went dark, and the next moment he found himself leaning on the bedpost. What are these lilies doing here? I should tell the valet to remove it, he thought as he tried to compose himself. Then he felt something under his feet. It was an envelope, an unfamiliar one. To Mr. Alex Wake. He turned it over, but there was no trace of the sender, nor a seal. Bewildered, Alex opened the letter. Does someone know what we're doing here? Does someone know that we're about to crash this whole family? We're about to destroy him? One single sentence was written on the snow-white sheet. That is not Snow White, but go off. Ooh, I know what you're trying to do.
이게 무슨...
Well, stop me. Oh, God. Alright. Let me note that down. Let me note that down on my little notepad. I said, stop me, B. Alright. He tried to pick himself up, but then the accursed flowers met his eyes once more. Whenever he breathed, the relentless scent jabbed and tore the insides of his head. Okay, it's just some lilies. I don't know, man. You're acting like someone just threw a bottle of perfume in your face. Okay, I mean, fine. Unable to overcome the vertigo, Alex crouched down on the floor. The overacting award goes to Alex.
알렉스 씨, 지금 괜찮으세요?
Who is that, Jeremy? Or is that the female maid? I can't tell.
주무시기 전에 죄송합니다. 며칠 전 관심 있으시다고 하던 책을
He didn't even knock or ask. Well, he knocked, I think, but he didn't ask before entering.
알렉스 씨!
What if I was naked, little kid? Probably wanted to see. He's probably interested in men. He's probably too young to even understand what he's feeling. The strong scent of flowers, the large eyes filled with genuine concern. Beth. That's an ugly name. Oh my god.
알렉스 씨!
So we're saying that Beth looks like this Joshua? I don't think so, but fine.
아니 무슨 소라냐? 알렉스, 괜찮아?
Do I look okay?
벤 선생님을 불러와 주겠어?
네.
My god, we are such a drama queen. Someone sent us a dumb letter, and we literally pass out. Alex felt his stiff body lifted and laid on the soft mattress. It was a very comforting sensation. Eventually, the heavy panting ceased and his breathing regained its usual pattern.
알렉스, 내가 누군지 알겠어?
And again, why does it always say that? Like, it always says wake when I clearly hear them saying Alex. They're saying Alexu, Alexu, but it says wake. Still finding it difficult to focus, Alex scowled at the face looking into his.
Lawrence.
Again, Lawrence? He said Lawrence, it says Lafayette. I don't know what that's about.
정신이 드나 보네. 타이랑 셔츠 단추를 풀어줄 테니까 조금만 참아.
But you'll undo my tie and buttons?
적합하지 않은 일이야. 수행호를 불러.
Sis, it's not beneath him. He wants to see you underneath all that fabric. All
내
that
아버지는
Victorian
높은
fabric.
분일지도 모르지만 난 아니야. 내가 남자 옷을 벗기는 건 이게 처음이니만큼 얌전히 지금의 영광을 즐기도록 하시지.
그럼 부탁할까?
농담을 즐길 여유는 있나 보네. 안심했어. 내가 모르는
아니, 그냥 과음해서 그래. 두통약까지 먹으니 더 매스껍네.
그래?
Yeah, get closer. That was when Lawrence discovered the flowers on the bed. He looked puzzled.
이건 뭐야? 네가 꽃병에서 뽑기라도 했어?
선물 받은 거야. 하는 김에 저쪽으로 치워주지 않을래? 그 냄새 때문에.
Thought he was done. I keep thinking they're done. Lawrence puts the flowers away in the far corner and opened the windows wide. The fresh night air helped Alex breathe easier. Lawrence dragged a chair and placed it beside the bed. Have you unbuttoned
난
me
말이지,
yet?
알렉스. 아름다운 여성을 좋아해.
Do you know that feeling when your straight friend comes to your bed after you had just passed out, and then he tells you about how straight he is? Thanks. What?
런던에 그 사실을 모르는 사람은 없어.
What do you want? What do you want? What?
아름다운 여성과의 사귐은 물론 카드 게임도 술도 좋아해. 너무 지나치지만 않는다면 말이야. 하고 싶은 걸 하는 건 유쾌해. 인생이 반짝반짝 빛나는 것처럼 느껴지지. 하지만 깊이 빠져들면 남은 건 자멸뿐이야. 나는 내 친구가 그러는 건 싫다.
Lawrence is right. Nah. Alex silently turned his gaze towards the window. We still gotta F up this family. Lawrence, too, spoke no more. He seemed to regret what he said, which was unusual for him.
이상한 말을 해서 미안해. 선생님이 곧 오실 테니 안심하고 쉬고 있어.
I know. I do know, de Lafayette. Nevertheless, there are certain things people can't help doing, even when they know how foolish it is. Otherwise, they don't know what to live for. Just like Josephine Adinik, taking out loans when she fully knew it would plunge her deeper into damnation. Perhaps I too shall be damned. I can do anything for Elizabeth. Whoever placed those lilies must have known that. I suppose he wanted to send a message, a warning. But did he truly believe I would oblige? How dare he dig up my poor sister's death and dangle it before my eyes, just to send some pretty message? We don't know it was a he. What if it was a she? What if it was the only she in the entire manor? That, whatever, the Hazel, grown-up Hazel. What will he think when he learns that his actions only hardened my determination? But it matters not who left those accursed flowers. My mission remains unchanged. I will make the Adenics pay. For the sake of justice, even if I must burn myself down to ashes. I feel an intermission card coming. Ah, I see. I know when they're happening. Are there going to be two? Yeah. So maybe there always are two. Somehow I felt like last time there was only one. Oh my god, Edward. Hello, Twink. Alex, is it true you collapsed last night? And I wish I could have collapsed in your bed. Edward interrogated as soon as Alex sat down at the table. Why didn't you tell me, Jeremy? Huh? Oh, well, I told him not to, Edward. It was a simple case of vertigo caused by taking headache pills with alcohol. Really? Alex, you aren't ill, are you? Oh my god, he's so worried for me and he's blushing. Oh my god. Do I look ill to you? Well, no, but... It's obviously his overindulgence in alcohol last night. Indeed, I must admit it was rather disgraceful of me. It was a cheery morning like any other, but Alice could not help but think about what happened last night. He wanted to find out who sent the lilies in the letter, but it was no easy task. He had left his room last night to take a stroll through the gardens. Yeah, I know, literally it could be anyone. Anybody could have entered his room during that time. Even the evidence was lacking. The envelope and stationery were the same type placed in the library for use of the family and guests. Even servants could obtain them if they had the chance. As for the bundle of lilies on the bed, those lilies must be from the conservatory, sir. I found them nipped off when I checked this morning. But by whom, I wonder? They could have asked me at least, and just when they were blooming so prettily. A shame, I dare say. Flowers nipped off in secret and an anonymous letter. Ooh, we got some intrigue. Whoever the culprit was, they clearly did not want to reveal themselves. But what was their purpose? If their reaction was intended to stop Alex, it was curiously passive. Neither have they disclosed his plans, as Oscar seemed undisturbed and remained his usual self. Perhaps they were merely offended by Alex's presence. But in the end, it did not matter whether their action was intended as an obstacle, albeit a passive one, or a trivial prank. They shouldn't be a sizable threat to Alex. Watch it be Jeremy who sent the letter. And he's the actual mastermind behind all of this. Oh my god, that would make such perfect sense, because Jeremy didn't even wait for a response before entering the room, even though I'm sure he knows that's bad manners to enter without permission, because he knew Alex was actually passed out on the floor, because he knew reading the letter would give him vertigo and make him pass out. Alright, this is actually coming apart at the seams. Of course, Alex was prepared to retaliate if they dared to meddle any further. Besides, he should be focusing on his plan, not searching for some unknown person. Misfortune dwells within this house. Numerous cracks exist between the seemingly intact relationships. Stick a few needles into the cracks and the whole structure will start to fall apart. Morris is the doctor, right? Wake. Are you busy today? You do seem well enough, but I would like to examine you at my room, just in case. Of course, you can come by later if you're busy today. So I wonder, like, what choices I'm gonna actually be making that decide who I get with. Like, have some of the choices that I've already made a big difference? Like, have I, by not agreeing with Lawrence, have I kind of, like, already sort of cut my chances of getting with him? By choosing the ellipses instead of I understand or whatever the other choice was. I see, Doctor. I will stop by if there are no other engagements. And Jeremy, remember to come by my room later today. The new drug from London has arrived yesterday. What, is he sick? Yes, Doctor. Alex found it strange, for the boy's complexion looked healthy as usual. None of his brothers seemed concerned. Apparently the drug was administered regularly. I just held his sneeze, oh my god. Could it be some chronic illness? That was awful. Oscar, may I use the library around noon? You have to ask your brother if you can use the library? What are you going to be doing in there? Of course. You wouldn't mind if I join you. Not at all. Are you busy today, Oscar? Yes, I have papers to fill, letters to write. I'm sorry, I just still can't get over his letters to write. Which reminds me, Eddie, have you been writing to Mother? What's the use? She never replies. But you know she can't. She's unwell. Come on, Edward. Why don't we write to her together? No, I'll pass. Edward replied curtly, almost cutting Jeremy off, and left the room. Oh, he's such a little brat and I love him. Lawrence smiled at the dumbfounded boy as if to console him. I do feel like reading today. But since the library will be occupied, can you recommend somewhere else? I suggest the conservatory. The weather is sunny today, so it should be perfect for reading. Ah, that sounds quite pleasant. You heard him, Burton. Have tea ready at the conservatory. Yes, sir. What's your plan, Wake? Well, I must give it some thought. Ooh, I'm assuming we have a big choice here? That could depend on who we get to romance? He could go to the library and spend time with Oscar and Joshua, or it may be interesting to talk about Jeremy with Morris while having himself examined. No. Oh, we can't hang out with Lawrence? Well, I'm visiting the library. I want to talk to Joshua, because he's really cute. So... Alex thought it was necessary to inspect the inclination of the family members. Especially that of Oscar, who was wary of him. And Joshua, who had changed so much that it was difficult to assess what he was thinking. Alex spent some time at his room briefly, then headed to the library. When he arrived, look how big this library is. Imagine two people being in here. There's like two different couches I think I see, and like one chair at least. And no, there's actually there's like 5 chairs. That's not a couch, those are 2 chairs. Okay, there's like 5 or 6 chairs in here. And imagine telling Lawrence that he should go to the conservatory to read because 2 people are in here. My god. When he arrived, the brothers were sitting face to face having tea. Aristocrats, am I right? May I join you? Yes. He does not seem happy. See, he's already pissed that 2 people are in here. The fact that there's 3 people in here. Did I interrupt some interesting conversation? No, we were just discussing family affairs. Oscar looks somewhat restless, but not because of Alex. Good thing you came. I was about to inform you that I must leave for London in a few days. Hey, that might put my revenge plot into shambles. I need you here to be revenged on. I apologize for leaving the house while guests are staying. Oh, don't mind us. After all. Alex looked around the library. Yeah, see, there's a couch and 3 chairs. There were novels, playbooks, and theology, philosophy, practical knowledge. The numerous books were organized neatly by subject and year of publication. Just look at this magnificent collection. You wouldn't have time to miss you. Thank you. That seemed a little bit underhanded, though. That seemed a little bit shady. But you need not flatter me. I'm aware that a collection this size is fairly common in other houses as well. The collection is impressive in terms of quality as well. Oscar, what? That? How is that going to come out? Alright, let's say it. How's this going to come out? I'll see it. Okay, maybe he's just going to say it internally. Oscar was not exactly wrong. Of course, he could tell from the meticulous arrangement that Oscar invested a lot of effort into the collection. But not even the most magnificent library could slow the family's fall. Oscar, wasn't that rather harsh of you? Wake was simply complimenting on your collection. Oscar certainly is fond of organizing the library. I recall he even advised Mr. Hawk once. Who? I simply told him that he needs to establish a standard for his library. Hawk? You mean Mr. John Hawk? Yes, he is one of our few neighbors, an acquaintance of yours. I've met him several times on business, and his daughter as well. John Hawk was a considerably well-known man in high society. In his youth, he left for America, discovered a silver mine, and accumulated enormous wealth after repeated investments. People called him a vulgarian behind his back, yet also envied his wealth. What is a vulgarian? And after his eldest daughter and heiress was married to an earl, taking with her an immense dowry, of course, he was treated with more respect as the future earl's maternal grandfather. It was around that time he bought a country house near the Ashgrove Park and announced it as his post-retirement residence. You must know him better than I. You are neighbors, after all. But he comes to visit father, not us. They are both fond of gardening, I've heard. Gardening? Yet John Hawke was a businessman to the core, not the sort who would visit for such a trivial manner. He must have some other ulterior motive, such as making his second daughter a baroness. He did spend a tremendous sum to marry off his eldest daughter and purchase estates, but he was still an exceedingly rich man. And he would likely bestow his younger daughter with a large dowry as he did his eldest daughter. It would be a sweet proposition for the Adenics with their waning fortune. No time to dither about, Alex thought as he finished the rest of his tea. Alright, I mean, imagine being sold off with a dowry. That would feel weird. See, there's only one intermission card there. Alex was done analyzing the family's dynamics. All the necessary papers have arrived. Now is the time for action. Ooh, Edward, you're cute. Joshua, I see you. Various cracks and ruptures abounded in this house. There is potential for numerous variations depending on how Alex orchestrates his plan. Alex had waited for this moment for over 10 years, and did not want some common, mediocre finale. What do I desire the most? How should I start?
알렉스 형, 이런 데에서 뭘 하고 있어요?
Looking for some hot butt. What about you, Edward, with your fine twink butt?
그냥 생각 좀 했어.
오늘 밤에 시간 있어요?
Oh my god, always.
시간이야 있지. 왜?
실은 저희 클럽에서 오늘 휘스트 대회를 하는데 같이 가지 않으실래요?
What the heck is a whist?
네가 클럽에 들어가 있을 줄은 몰랐는데.
Gentlemen's clubs were not just a place for playing cards and billiards. They were the very foundation whereupon members of high society socialized. The club or clubs which a gentleman joined indicated his social status and also exerted long-term influences on his business as well. Naturally, every gentleman desired to join the most prestigious clubs. Of course, it was no easy feat, as the lineage, education, wealth, and reputation of candidates were rigorously evaluated.
얼마 전 가입 허가를 받았어요. 다닌 지는 2달쯤 되나?
Look at how cute he is when he blushes.
같이 가주실 거죠?
하지만 난 클럽의 회원이 아니잖아. 들여보내주지 않을걸?
He can vouch for you as a guest, dude. Relax.
안 그래요. 저희 클럽은 기존 회원의 추천을 신뢰하거든요. 형이라면 금방 들어갈 수 있을 거예요.
It seems that Edward's club was a third-rate hangout for self-styled gentlemen. It was unsurprising. Why are you being so shady? You know, Alex, he's completely caught up in this whole class consciousness thing, and he's not so great. Okay, he whatever. It was unsurprising, actually. Edward may be a baron's son, but he lacked the experience required by respectable gentlemen's clubs. Oh my god, I don't like Alex. Alex was pondering how to decline when Oscar appeared. Like, just all the things that he's saying, it's like he actually believes in this rigid class system and that it's actually correct and should be this way. Like, the way I remember, like, just earlier in this video, and when Lawrence was like, I'll undo your clothes for you, and Alex was like, no, it's beneath you. Like, what? Like, do you actually believe this garbage? Alex was pondering how to decline when Oscar appeared. He seemed puzzled. I mean, should I be surprised that Alex believes in all this class nonsense, considering that although, you know, he didn't grow up with the same standing as these brothers in this house, he still grew up in this house, surrounded in in luxury, you know. He probably thinks highly of himself. Idiot. Anyway, I'm sorry. He seemed puzzled to see them standing around in an odd spot. I just hate classes as a, you know, communist. We need to destroy the class system. Edward flinched in a pang of guilt, but quickly put up an affectionate smile for his brother.
형, 알렉스 형이랑 오늘 밤에 외출해도 되지?
We promise we'll use a condom.
어딜 가는데?
친구네 집.
Edward replied slyly. He was obviously hiding his club membership from Oscar.
뭐 하러?
저녁 먹고 휘스트 할 건데?
What is whist?
그럴 거면 친구를 이쪽으로 불러라. 알렉스는 우리 손님인데 그 집에까지 배를 끼칠 순 없잖아.
Bruh.
그래도
Can you not intervene on this affair, Oscar?
결정된 거야. 알았지?
Oh, okay, just run off the screen then. Oscar finished what he had to say, turned away and climbed the stairs. Now he
잠깐, 형.
bolted.
내 말을 들어봐.
He ran away like a little baby. Silence replaced their departure. I wanted to go hang out with Edward. Alex had no qualms about Oscar's decision, as he did not wish to visit Edward's club in the first place. Oh my god. Nevertheless, the young man did reveal some interesting information. Alex sent a telegram to his investigator, ordering him to inspect the club. I hate you, Alex. You had the chance to hang out with a cute twink and you said no. Ugh, whatever. Oh my god, I don't want him to be sulky, I want him to be happy, I want him to be loaded up. Anyway, guys, since we couldn't load up Edward, I'm gonna end today's video on a sour note of an unloaded Edward. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys on the next episode of Beyond Eden, in which we perhaps learn more about whoever possibly sent us this note that indicated they knew what we were planning, what we were trying to do. Yeah, there's intrigue abound. We need to destroy these people's lives. Hopefully not Edward's. Hopefully we can just take him, we can just snatch him up right before we destroy everyone else's lives. Yeah. So bye.